The amount of tax revenue that Kansas brings in on an annual basis is around $6 billion. And then we bring in another $8 billion from really federal funds. So our budget in Kansas is around $15 billion. We always think we can control the $6 billion in the tax revenue cycle. So that's what our budget's based on, is about $6 billion in tax collections. So that's what we have to work with on an annual basis. So let's go back a couple years and talk about the tax policy. When we were getting ready to cut taxes between 25 and 27% in Kansas, we built up what was called the ending balance, which was just a balance in the checking account. We built it up on paper to around $700 million. So we pulled the trigger on the tax policy, knowing that we were going to eat into that ending balance all the way through 2018. The tax policy was always 50% of the formula was based on having a $700 million ending balance. So if you remember, just refreshing everybody's memory, back in April, about this same day, the revenue estimators actually increased the amount that they thought we were going to bring in by 120 million. So we actually thought we had an ending balance in excess of 700 million. That lasted for about 14 days. The estimators came back and said not only did they miss the 120, but they missed another 300 million. So in a matter of 14 days, the ending balance almost went to zero. And then we had another 300 million formulatic error carry through for the rest of this year, which we saw again yesterday. That's the end of the error. So the tax policy that we pulled the trigger on, spent 2 years developing, is unsustainable. Because our ending balance got wiped out in 14 days from bad data that we were given. So here we are sitting with about 2 weeks to solve a $500 million issue. And we'll solve it as soon as we get back and Marvin gets to work. So it's very doable. So let me talk about the budget again. The budget's basically done. 85% of our budget is K-12, higher ed, and Medicaid. There's only about 15% that we have direct control over. And we have squeezed the budget down significantly since 2011. We beat ourselves up as Republicans about not cutting enough, not being efficient enough. If you just go back to 2011, we have cut every single growth item in the budget significantly. Welfare, just all the minutia that was built up during the Graves and Sebelius years, we have just cut it out of the system. So we should be proud of what we've done. The two major cost drivers that we were not able to control, one was self-inflicted and one self-inflicted by the feds, and that's Medicaid. So the 2-year budget cycle that we're just completing, we will grow spending about 1.8% a year on an average. There's not a single city government that's been able to do that. The county sure as hell hasn't been able to do that. But the state, 1.8% annual growth for the next 2 years. Pretty impressive. We should be proud of that. So what's the tax plan done for Johnson County? Historical growth. Retail sales for 11 consecutive months over $1 billion. Unemployment 3.6%. When's the last time we've dealt with that? And it's a real problem because we can't find enough people now. Unemployment 3.6%. The two slowest months for home sales, up 2%. 386,000 humans working in Johnson County. It's never been that high. So what we've done, we get zero credit, and sometimes we beat ourselves up about not cutting enough. We've done all those things, and we've made a very favorable business environment as a result of it. And I think you see the results just here in Johnson County. So going back to the budget and tax, yeah, we're going to have a tough road when we go back. If we can't get out on time, it's because we can't govern. We are the governing body. We are the Republicans. We have enormous majorities in the House. We have a minority in the Senate. If we can't govern and get out of town on time, then we have failed. If we have a segment that thinks we can cut more, they need to bring it to us, because we have looked and we have cut pretty damn deep, And if you look at a 1.8% growth in a $15 billion budget, that's pretty impressive. There's nothing to be ashamed about. So I'm going to stop there.